On this installment of Creative Cabin Fever, I am joined by Emily7. Now, I've been following their career for about 2 years now. When I first joined Viking, one of the local drummers in Waterford was like, "Have you heard about Emily7?" I was like, "No." And then I started listening to their music and I was like, "Oh, they're very promising." And then out of the blue, the boys reached out for an interview and I'm like, "Yes, I can do this." How are we, boys?
Yeah, all good. All good. Beautiful Sunday afternoon out here now. So, yeah,
I'm so
all good.
warm that I'm drinking this incredible slushie that I got on the way home for the interview. Slushies are unreal.
I know you're making us jealous sitting there. I'm fucking sitting here parching for.
I was driving past this garage, right, and there was like a selection of about 8 different flavours I'd never seen in my life, and one of them was sour apple and the other one was cherry, and I couldn't pick, so I just fused it into this slushy cocktail that you see before you.
If you have to get down to Waterford soon, the only concoctions you can get up here is either the classic red and blue, or you might get fancy and be able to mix Coca-Cola and Fanta flavours and Circle K. But Waterford sounds like the place to be for a good slushy.
It's the first time I ever saw that many slushies in one place, so I don't even know if that's a new installation or like if that's someone's lockdown creativity taken to the slushy level, which is quite possible.
Well, it's a good idea, so tell them to keep doing it. Don't get them. Make sure they're still doing it for when we get down to Waterford. We have to try that out.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to have you down here as soon as everything is possible. But before we get to talking about gigs and all those really interesting questions that everyone's been dying to know about you guys and what's going on, I want to start at like what I usually do, which is like effects on your creativity in lockdown. So have you guys found anything different about your creative process since this moment in time has happened?
Personally for me, when the lockdown started, we were gigging like a lot, and if we weren't gigging, we were going to other people's gigs and just watching music, and also, we were very kind of always on the move and always out and all. And then when I suppose lockdown hit, it was just that thing of right, what now? And I think for like a lot of bands, I think a lot of people were kind of, I suppose, scared of the unknown. Do you know what I mean? Of because it was kind of scary at the start, not knowing, when we were able to get back to normal, and like we still don't now, but I remember just kind of I really wanted to focus a lot on, I suppose, experimenting in terms of production and stuff like that. And I kind of got myself a bit savvy on a few different like DAWs, like the different audio workstations, and I spend a lot of my time now just in the home studio, just messing about at different bits, trying all different sounds. And I think myself and Daniel out of the band, especially, that's where we kind of, I suppose, connected a bit in the sense that would be interest of both of us. Do you know what I mean? Kind of, I suppose, experimenting, expanding the sounds.
Yeah, I think it's been a great, like, don't get me wrong, look, it's been harsh, people can't gig, and, it's a detriment to everybody around the world. It's a thing that's affected musicians globally. But I think if you have to take something positive out of a horrible situation, it's given a lot of artists kind of time to sit back and, it gives them time to write, like their creativity, um, in lockdown and all, just being inside the house and all, like it was a really good opportunity for people to, start writing and I suppose take a step back and kind of be like, you know what I mean? Like as Scott said, we'd be out 4 or 5 nights a week. So when the lockdown happened, like obviously it's devastated us, and it still is devastating. But it's given us an awful lot of time to kind of, write stuff and work on stuff, rehearsals and all. Like even bits of songs and all that. You never kind of finished. It gave you the chance to kind of tie up loose ends. So that's what we've been up to. Rehearsing, writing, releasing stuff. But yeah, that's how.
I think as well, I think when you look at like art as a whole, I think a lot of the best art that is produced comes from, I suppose, tragedy. Do you know what I mean? So I think in any bad situation that you're given, you just need to take the positives out of it. We might not be able to gig as such or be out, but we are doing a lot of kind of writing and rehearsing, and we are making the best of, I suppose, this downtime, if that's the appropriate word. But just, I suppose, making sure that when things do get back to normal, we're like ready to go. It's no pissing about. We're just ready to go straight. You know.
Absolutely. I think that's an incredible mindset to have. Like, you obviously haven't stopped doing what you're doing. One of the questions I like to ask is about self-discoveries, because I kind of see these interviews as time capsules. Okay, so
Yeah.
in a few years' time, people are going to be like, what was it like back then? Because we'll have forgotten, right? Because trauma is a wonderful thing. You
Yeah.
just bleep that shit out, right?
Yeah.
But as well as that, like, if anyone in 10 years' time is looking back and they weren't old enough to remember, it would be cool for them to know, like, that there was a moment in time where we were at a complete standstill for 19 months.
Yeah.
What did people reflect upon? Did they discover anything new about themselves outside of the musical journey? I'm big into gardening now.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, like personally, in terms of the music, in terms of say the musical side of things, I learned that there's a lot more music out there than like you're I suppose given genres, not you're given but your preferred genres, you know what I mean? And from getting into a lot of production and all, I kind of had to, I suppose, open my mind and my eyes in terms of other music, just because it might not be my taste, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, you know what I mean? And that's something that, from like the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, I really noticed about myself. It was like, I think I did stop limiting myself in terms of what I was listening to and all. And now I'm I suppose finding the benefits of that, because I'm finding like a lot of different inspirations now, even when it comes to me in terms of drumming, I am listening to a lot of rap music, I'm listening to a lot of soul music, stuff like that. And then, and the drum beats and a lot of like soul music and all, you know what I mean? Like even a lot of like the Smokey Robinson tracks and all, they're really, I don't know. I do think that it bleeds in well to the whole kind of rock and roll thing. You know what I mean? I just think that you can take inspiration from any kind of music around you, and I think you can find a way to make it relevant to what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I just got into graphic design. Like I just started doing bits and pieces. Obviously music is the main focus, but I think it is good to kind of have an alternative outlet, I suppose, to express yourself and all, something that's a bit different. And I suppose the lockdown gave me the opportunity to explore that. And yeah, it was fun. Like as you said yourself, you got into gardening. I'm sure other people got into, whether it be gardening or writing poetry or reading books. But I think it was important to have a different outlet, and that was mine, I suppose. It was fun.
That's brilliant. And the graphic design and the different inspirations from different music's actually going to really stand to you as a band in time. So you're actually finding something that's creatively different to what you're used to. And it's actually going to be super beneficial in the future. That's amazing. I love that. I love when creative forces aren't stopped by anything. But I'm really curious to know how you found your craft. So what was that gateway drug moment into the rock and roll music industry? Like, what made you musicians?
Well, I remember, like, obviously, like, living in the house together for the last, like, 19 years of my life, we grew up in the same gaff. So I remember, like, my dad was always into music. No one in the family around plays any instruments or is involved in kind of any kind of aspect of the music industry. So I was always just listening to music and I suppose appreciating music, and it was always around, like whether it's a radio playing or an album playing, whatever, there was always something playing in the house at all times, even if it was just background noise, it'd still be there. And I remember kind of, in school, I was in like fifth or sixth year at the time, and I just bought a drum kit and all, and it kind of, I was never interested in sitting in classes and learning about stuff that I had no interest in or like, and being like 15 years of age, and someone's coming in and asking me what you want to do for the rest of your life, do you know what I mean? I wasn't kind of that into it, and I just kind of went on it. Everyone was just so caught up in leaving certain colleges and futures, and I remember we were just going out gigging, and I was living this kind of doppelganger life to what I had in school, and I remember saying to myself, and the exact thought process that went through my head was, I don't want to be a bank manager when I'm like 40, do you know what I mean? And I just didn't like the whole idea of settling for something that I didn't want to do, you know what I mean? I think, you have one life, and if you're going to be happy, and I think you do have to do what makes you happy, do you know what I mean? I don't think you can be automatically happy, do you know what I mean? I think it's what you make of it. But I remember, obviously we were gigging and all and stuff like that, but I remember that, we met Liam Gallagher a few years ago, and I remember from that moment, I remember just thinking, I want to do this. This is it. And then and since then, I've never had any kind of other thought of any other kind of thing that I want to do. Like, there's a lot of people who, like, I'll come across in music and all, and it's always, so I don't know, electrician or something during the day, but I do a few gigs during the night, you know what I mean? I just want to do music 24/7. I want to be writing and rehearsing during the day. I want to be gigging during the night. And I suppose that's that, you know, that I genuinely don't have an interest in much else.
Yeah. Like I remember seeing I think it was a video, and it was when the Eagles were getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Don Henley says, he was like, every, you know, musician when they're 15, 16, they start doing what they do because, what did he say? It's a way to fit in with everyone else. And I suppose to find their own identity. And I suppose that's true. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do anything else. And as Scott kind of touched upon, it's like you do it to form your own identity. You know, like when people, especially when you're young and in school and all that, it's always what you want to do, what you want to do. And I suppose because I loved music and I knew that I didn't want to do anything else, it was my way of fitting in with everyone else. You know, my friends, whether they be playing football, whether they be into whatever, I was like, no, I'm into music. And that's, I suppose, how I got into it. That's how my musical journey started, just because I knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life and how I was going to fit in.
That's amazing. Like, it's a very vibes and tribes answer, and I love it. Do you know what I mean? And I love people who are willing to live a life where they're like dreaming with their eyes open. So many people do, in fact, believe that they have to follow a certain road to get to a certain place. But if you look at success in what it really is, it's whatever makes you happy. So you don't have to be rich. You just have to do the thing that feeds your soul. So well done.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.
So then, I guess since we touched upon him, let's bring that to back to the Liam Gallagher thing, right? Because I had 4 people send me a question, which was, ask them what it feels like when Liam Gallagher hears your song and tweets about it.
Yeah, like it was mad, you know what I mean? As Scott said, and we met him a few years ago, and a video went around, and it went somewhat viral. Like, we couldn't get tickets to his gig, and you know, he got us in, put us on guest list and all, and that was surreal. You know what I mean? Like, it was mental. Like, that was before even Emily7. So I suppose in some way that had some, what's the word I'm looking for?
It was like a subliminal kind of thing, you know what I mean? I don't think it was like we stood there and met him and said, you know what, we're going to form a band. But I think from that moment, you know what I mean? I think kind of our outlook on things and all changed, you know, because like, you know, I was sitting in like this seat, and one of my friends was texting me. He was like, "Hey, Liam Gallagher's after tweeting about you," and I was just like, "All right." And we were getting messages left, right, and centre off people and all, you know, and all of our phones were just blown up, you know. And it can't. I just had to turn my phone onto airplane mode after a while because I was just like, right, this is mental, you know what I mean? But it's even like I remember sitting back and I remember the day we came up with the name Emily7, and like when I picture him sitting down and typing that out with his phone, just it's fucking mental, to be honest. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, like, it's mad. It's kind of something that we're still pinching ourselves over. Like, geez, when we were in the studio recording and all that, and we were just sitting there, like, there's no way. If someone had told us, you know, Liam Gallagher kind of tweeted about this because he likes it, you know, it's mad. Like, I can't put it into words. Like, geez, obviously we're very humbled and we're grateful because, you know, the single that he tweeted about somebody, you know, we were plugging away and it was getting good airplay and good write-ups and all, but after he put that out, like, it just took on a life of its own, like, which is mad, you know, like, for 4 young lads to just love music and that's what we want to do, to have someone that you look up to, you know, praise the band and the song, like, it's mental. It's mad. Like, I suppose the next thing we have to do is try to get Noel to tweet about the next single, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I think it's brilliant when the universe works for you. Do you know, like, it's kind of like, it's like, oh, this is the person who inspired me to do the thing. I'm going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then, oh my God, that person is going to tweet about me. Like, that's...
That low battery on. No.
You still there? Hello. Hey guys. So Zoom Gremlins got in there for a minute, but that's okay. That happens. I just kept enjoying my...
There we go. Yeah.
That's
I don't
okay.
know what happened. When?
Zoom Gremlins do that the whole time. Like, I could edit this video and make you look like no Zoom Gremlins did it, but I actually like the comedy of errors of someone going... It shows the reality of the Zoom world. Do you know what I mean? So that's an amazing story, and I'm so happy.
It's even like when you're playing it. Yeah, no, it was mad. As we said, like it's really humbling, and we don't take it for granted. You know what I mean? Like someone you look up to tweeting about it. And I seen a comment on Facebook after it all kind of happened, and someone reshared or whatever. And there was a dude in the comments, and he was like, "Oh, if that was my band at my single that you tweeted about, I'd never shut up about it." And I was kind of like, "Well, I suppose." You know what I mean? Like it's one of them things. Like it still feels surreal, so we haven't got the chance to proper take it in. But I'm sure, like as time passes, we'll kind of sit back and be like, Jesus, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's deadly. So obviously you've had no trouble releasing in lockdown, and the new single is incredible, and I'd urge everyone to go listen to it. I mean, Liam Gallagher tweeted about it, so it must be good. But I saw that you recently recorded in Abner Brown's, so I'd love to talk about the video that's coming from there and to give him a shout out, because what a fucking legend, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we were looking for somewhere to record the Somebody music video. You know, I suppose we had done music videos in the past and all that we weren't that happy with. You know what I mean? And through no fault of our own or like any of the videographers, it didn't work, and we were working with this new photographer videographer Nicola earlier, and it was Baby Girl Films on Instagram and all that. But we came up with it. We wanted like a kind of location into somewhere where you wouldn't expect kind of a music video, whether it be a shop or something like that. And I just really like Abner Brown's for the fact that it's really kind of this. I don't know whether it's like an old fashioned vibe to it or something, you know what I mean? But it's really this kind of retro looking place. It looks cool, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so we texted them anyway, and we went out, we filmed the video, and we got a really good result that we're all extremely happy with. That's up on our YouTube channel under Emily7, so it's just worth checking out.
Yeah, like it was Daniel in the band that suggested like to do it in a barber shop, which was, you know, it was, as Scott said, it was kind of a bit strange because it's not kind of a typical place to see a music video. We kind of liked that. So yeah, we knew Abner from playing gigs in this venue, Underground, so we just reached out to him, and yeah, as Scott said, like it was location, and the video turned out really well, and we're happy with it. We'll do more videos.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it's a great video, and it's a great location, and you're right, it's not too many bands actually use barbers as a location, so it works out really, really well. Plus obviously the Underground being as cool as it is as a venue, it all ties in perfectly with your brand, and I love that. So while we're on,
and Abner's back open.
Yeah, he's back open, doing hair, getting rid of hippies. Love the man.
Yeah.
I'm actually a qualified barber myself before. Yeah, so in between my first incarnation in the music industry and my second incarnation in the music industry, I trained to be a barber.
Guys, sort this out. I'm getting a bit lost in this now.
I'm the handiest artist liaison to have. Like, I'm a fully qualified barista. I can work a kitchen pretty well. I can cut hair. Like, you just have me anywhere looking after.
Garden as well.
Gardening as well, yeah.
Jesus.
My resume is like, look.
We will go through it. All different pages. Look at books.
Yeah, slush puppy lover. Don't forget that.
Yeah, we're really looking for the sponsorship, Slush Puppy. So, you know, the boys will put the dog old school on their beautiful guitars, and I'll just walk around interviews doing this.
Yeah. Come on, slushies. No messing about.
No
Straight in
messing
touch with
about.
us.
Straight in touch with the boys, definitely.
There we
So
go.
I'm curious always to ask bands, what local artists do they recommend that I should be listening to, or that everyone should be listening to? When I say local, we have 32 glorious counties in Ireland, and that's exactly what I mean. So who are your top picks in the industry right now?
My personal topics, I find like, as I said earlier, there's a lot of music out there that people don't even know exist, and I think it's beautiful in a way, but it's also horrible in a way because a lot of these songs will never get to the audience that I think they truly deserve to. And some will and some won't, but that's I suppose the horror of it all. You know what I mean? That's the game. But there's one guy in Dublin, and he does a lot of soul slash R&B. His name is Lolo Delahunty. His name is, but he does like a lot of it's very powerful stuff. What he does, he's very. I don't even know how to explain his genre. I don't even think he has Spotify, or I don't think he's on Spotify. I think it's all on his Instagram page. But he does a lot of really cool stuff. Like I've seen him a load of time live, and it's very powerful. Whenever he gets on stage, I just think everyone just goes silent and does want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, like kind of, when we were gigging out and about 4 or 5 nights a week, we just kind of stumble across, I suppose, troubadours, just the way to
Yeah.
describe them. You know what I mean? Like their livelihood would be, 24/7 music, and whether that be playing on the street where nobody's paying attention or playing in a bar with people singing along and on. I kind of admire that because it's a very risky and brave thing to do, just to dedicate your life to music. You can be passionate about it and want to pursue it all you want, but at the end of the day, that's not going to really pay the bills and all that. So it's really it is risky, and I admire a lot of them troubadours that we came across.
There's a guy as well in Dublin. He does a lot of folky kind of stuff. His name's Keenan Flannery. He does a lot of really good stuff. I think he is really fucking good. He's on the ball with everything he does. But again, I've seen him in a few live kind of situations as well. There's a lot of others, but the same thing. There was one song he had in particular, "Cheap Wine and Foreign Men," it was called. And I've seen that a couple of times live, and it's just an extremely powerful, goosebumps giving song.
Yeah, I actually like that song so much that I bought one of his t-shirts. So in my captivity collection, which I did the math the other day, I think I've spent in excess of 5 grand on merch since the first lockdown, because every single week I buy 3 items of Irish merch, like non-stop. So I have 5 bags full of t-shirts. I have more vinyl than, like, do you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to start DJing Irish nights. Like, it's just gonna be like. But yeah, I actually have one of his t-shirts, so that's mad that you should say it.
Yeah, no, as Gus said, Keenan Flannery is class, and there's a few others. There's a guy, Luke Highland. It's really poppy kind of, but it's unbelievable. Like we'd see him like with an acoustic guitar doing the stuff, and then he released that, and it just took on another world. So that's really cool. There's a singer-songwriter from Offaly, Anna Carmody. If you haven't heard of her, you should definitely check her out. Colin Gavin. There's a singer-songwriter from Clondalkin in Dublin, Colin Gavin. As Scott said, there's a lot of talent out there. It's one of them things. It's like, even though there is so much, you kind of have to go out and discover it for yourself. And it was like, even before we started a band, like, naturally you just kind of consume what was on the radio or coming up on your social media. But when you actually go out there to these open mic and unsigned nights, the amount of talent that you'll find is unbelievable.
And even the likes of all them, like Keenan Flannery and Colin Gavin and all, who we've said, the thing that sticks out about them to me, obviously we've come across a lot of bands now, and in Dublin there's a lot of bands who kind of, they'll come and go, they'll be hyped up a lot, and then they'll have a gig, and then you never hear of these bands again, and but the thing that kind of gets me about a lot of these solo artists and all, they must have some, like, I suppose we were always together out gigging and all, so it was like there was always that two thing, I never went into a venue on my own, but something about someone being able to just get an acoustic guitar, walk into a venue on their own, and like play these tracks to a crowd where they literally know nobody. See, I always knew at least one person, do you know what I mean? But for these people who know nobody whatsoever, I think that takes a serious amount of like courage and self belief as well, you know. And I have so much respect for all these solo artists who are going around doing their thing, because they obviously, you know, they in their own mind they have their own kind of, I suppose, path and aims and all, and you know they're not waiting for someone else to push them to go and do it. They're standing there themselves doing it, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Like, following your dream, like, everyone seems to think it's so easy, but like, it's so difficult, especially when you have to be self driven. Like, I'm doing everything
Yeah.
for Viking by myself on my own. It takes a lot out of a person, do you
Oh
know?
yeah.
So, solo
Like it's
artists,
obviously,
same, like,
yeah. Oh, 100%. Like as Scott said, like you know, it is not that I've ever experienced it, but I can only imagine it's a lot harder. You know, going into a venue by yourself, playing your songs to, you know, more often than not, probably people you don't know. And but if you do that every night because you believe in yourself and you have a passion for what you want to do, that's admirable. You know what I mean? And like as you said yourself, Keenan Flannery, like I'm sure you follow on social media, he posts and is always churning out stuff constantly and constantly, and it's like, you know, fair play, and that's what we admire about a lot of these troubadours we've kind of encountered over the years.
that's an incredibly beautiful answer, guys. I've never had anyone else admire troubadours, and I hadn't really thought about that bohemian lifestyle and just how empowering it might be to one day just take to the streets myself and just leave it all behind, follow my passion.
Yeah. Because it was like when we started, you know what I mean? Like it's not only ourselves, I'm sure a lot of bands are the same. It is very hard to get gigs. You know, if you go to the reputable venues, whether it be the likes of the Whelans, the Grand Socials, and all that, if you're only starting out and you go to these places, can you give me a gig? You probably won't get a reply.
It's like that. It's that conundrum of a job. It's like, you go into a job but you need experience. How are you supposed to get a job without experience? Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of constant loop. You
Yeah,
know, at the start, we found that for us a lot. You know, was we wanted to be in these big venues, playing to bigger crowds, but we couldn't because these people hadn't heard of us, and we were kind of stuck in that thing. It's like, right, well, how do you expect to hear of us if you don't
If you
give
don't
us a
give us a
chance? You know what I
chance.
mean? So we literally, we just went and would play for anyone who would listen, like what, like in stupid little kind of kitchen type places. Do you know what I mean? You know, to anywhere that here was, you know, we've played the crowds of two people, we've played the crowds of 2,000 people. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's that thing of, you know, if someone wants to hear our music, that it doesn't matter how many there is. If one person wants to hear it, and like if they're gonna take something from it, that's all that matters to us.
yeah.
You know.
And as Scott touched upon, like when we were starting out, especially as you know, we couldn't get into the bigger venues. It was the open mics in Dublin that gave us a chance and let us play and kind of hone our craft. So that's why, even now, I'll always have a soft spot for it, and I'll also be grateful for it as well. And you know, I definitely think it's something that people shouldn't overlook. It gives you a chance to, you know, develop your stage presence, sing your songs, get better at what you do, and then eventually, when you start getting into the bigger places, you'd be ready for it. So, and that's why I have so much respect and admiration for these troubadours, because we come across these in the open mics because, you know, they'd be by themselves. They didn't care if they were playing to a lot of people or nobody. They just wanted to do what they do, and that's why we've so much admiration for them.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, the last thing I want to talk about before I let you go back to your beautiful Sunday in the sun, um, gig memories. So this can be, because I just want to get people back in the gig mode. They are coming back. I mean, I can't give you an
Yeah.
exact answer or date, but they are coming back, and it's great to remember them. So venues you loved playing in or attending, and gigs that really stood out in your career or in your own enjoyment.
Well, a gig for me personally, every Christmas Eve in Dublin on Grafton Street, you know the Christmas Eve busk, like the one with Glenn Hanson Bono and all that. Like before we even started Emily7, we'd always go and watch, just because, as Scott said earlier, we loved watching gigs and going to stuff. So we'd always be there watching at the very, very back. Like you couldn't see anything; you'd have to put your phone in the air to try and see something through the camera. But I remember after our first year of gigging, we just showed up to the Gaiety one day with guitars and chanced our arm, and you know, we start busking, and then by the end of the day, we were literally stood beside Bono performing with Glenn Hanson and all that. So that was surreal. But then the next year we went back, and same again. Bono wasn't there that time, but Glenn Hanson came up and he was like, "Oh lads, you just want to play one of your own songs?" And there was like about 2,000 people there, and Glenn Hansen introduced us, brought us up and all that, and we done our song Stay, and at the end the whole crowd was singing along, and that was kind of a pinch me moment. That was unbelievable, and that's something that'll stick out to me for the rest of my life.
Personally for me, I remember I think it was in 2019, come towards the end. It was one of the kind of, I suppose, final gigs we done before the pandemic. One of them, in any way. But we done the Underground, and we headlined it doing. It was an EP launch that we had released at the time, an EP called Minty's Indie Club, and I just remember. I remember coming up to it. It was one of our first kind of big headline gigs. I remember it was always that constant kind of paranoia of, is this going to sell? Is it going to sell? Will people show up? And I remember like being not worried, but that kind of anxious thing about it. You know what I mean? Not knowing whether, because we were hyping this night up so much, and we didn't want to go, and there'd be like 4 people there because we wouldn't have been on the ball or anything, And I remember we did go, but I remember that day I had a severe, like, I had this pain in my ear. And I went, and my ear was like severely like infected, and it was horrible, bleeding and all. And I was floating around on painkillers.
Good way to be. Yeah.
I know, and I remember going up to the venue, and I remember it was packed. It was literally from the very back of the Underground to the very front. It was just packed full of people. And I remember thinking, right, this is going to be good. And I remember we done the gig and all. And well, I was floating for most of it. Like, I was just like going around like this, And but no, that was really good, because I just remember thinking, that it's the types of venues like the Underground and all. It's them types of venues where I suppose, bands do really, I suppose, hone in on their craft and really, learn their trade before anything does kind of happen with them, And I think that's kind of, the Underground was a classic kind of venue for stuff like that, And I think that night that we had there, I do think that there was some magic in the air. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're due to headline upstairs Whelan's in October. That gig has been rescheduled so much. It's starting to feel like the Ozzy Osbourne gig. Remember the gig that kept on getting rescheduled?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I had to feel like. But fingers crossed that can go ahead, because we're buzzing for it. Like, I know the Underground was magic, and the Christmas Eve busk that I said, but I know for the fact this Whelan's one's going to top them all, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, I'll absolutely make a date in my diary, and if I can make it, I'll make it. I'd love to see you guys play live, and I'd urge anyone to go out. Are the tickets like online still available, or are they sold out? Or
they're on Ticketmaster, but
okay.
The last we heard was like there's limited tickets remaining,
So anyone who's watched this interview and is like, okay, Emily7, the guys there, they seem really cool. You go on to Ticketmaster right now and you buy tickets to go see the boys, and it can be rescheduled as many times as it needs to, because those tickets will last forever and you will get to see the boys.
That's it. And who knows, Liam Gallagher might be there as well, so
he might be there to open for us.
he might be there to open for you, or at least be an MC of some sort, or heckle you in the crowd.
Whatever.
Whatever. I actually think it would only be fair that you send him an invitation to your gig for free, since he got you into his. That would be a sure way to get him. Do you know what I mean?
We actually haven't thought of that, so we're going to get to that now.
Cool.
We get on that. That's actually, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's go to
that as well.
Yeah. Make sure there's no slush puppies in the green room. Actually, that's probably going to be my job. I'll make sure there's no puppies in the green room. Also, Scott, thanks so much for color coordinating your shorts to my hair. I don't actually think
Yeah.
Guys, this has been amazing. Is there anything I missed or you'd like to add to the interview before I stop recording?
No, well, not really. Like the gig in Whelan's in October, Somebody, the new single, was released 2 weeks ago.
So keep streaming that.
Yeah.
So we're nearly on the 10k mark. So if everyone just keeps fucking streaming it, get us somewhere a bit forward than we already are now, and then we're happy there.
And I made a mistake in my banner, because obviously the email said everybody needs somebody, so I just copy and pasted that, but I should just say the single is called Somebody, so we can just take it that I'm a little bit sun tired.
Yeah, no, as Scott said, it's just about to surpass 10k on Spotify, which is mad, like, and as soon as it does, we filmed something special in Whelan's not too long ago, a few live tracks, so as soon as they surpass the 10k on Spotify, we'll put out the live video from Whelan's, so keep streaming, keep sharing, and keep listening.
There's your initiative, guys. You want to see a cool live gig that's already been recorded? Help the boys get to 10k and you get what you want. That is smart marketing. Let's keep that up. Let's keep being clever, boys. Let's keep it up. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet both of you, and I cannot wait to see you live soon as possible. I'm going to stop recording now.
Thanks very much for having us.
Thanks very much for having us.